So this is Ramjoo's Diaries. We're starting part one today. We read the intro last week. Here's a nice picture of Baba and the Mandalay. I don't know if you can see it. There's a very weird.
We can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, look at this fellow here, though. It's
Is
like
that,
it looks like it. He was put in there.
Oh, is that Gustachi? Oh, you mean like Photoshop? No.
Yeah, it looks like it was photoshopped.
Nah. Oh,
Take a look. When you get a chance, it's grayscale. It's
you're right.
gray. It's not black and white like the others, but
Yeah,
and there's
good
like a
eye.
chair behind him.
Oh, that's a good eye, Eugene. I don't. What does the table say his name is? Does it? Is there a?
The
He's
that's
right.
all. That's all not very correct either. The identifications.
Slamson. Slamson. Huh.
Well, that's the back row, right? It
He
says
is the back row.
Oh no, back row.
Yeah.
Babu Cycle Walla. Is that him?
Yeah, I guess. Let's see. We don't really know. Oh, Sarosh. Yeah, that makes sense. He was tall, handsome. Wow.
H.J. Vajiftar. I believe that's H.J. Vajiftar right here.
That's Sarosh. Oh, wait a minute.
This is Sarosh?
Yeah, the tall guy is Sarosh, and
Yeah.
HJ Wajifdar is the one between, the second guy.
Yeah.
Vajiftar is this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And he was the
cricketer.
The cricket player?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, uh-huh. So
okay, so there's Sarosh.
You're saying this is Sarosh.
Yes.
He had something to do with like selling cars, was it?
Yeah.
Later? Sarosh's Motor Works? Yeah.
He was the mayor of Nagar. Yeah, he was the mayor.
And then this is
Baidul.
Baidul.
Yeah.
Oh, they're identifying him as Slamson.
Slamson.
Yeah.
And this guy as Asma.
Asma. Boy, is he handsome. He looks like a.
Well, he was a wannabe actor, wasn't he?
I know what one of them was. I don't know if he looks
and this is Baramji. Isn't this Baba's brother? Baramji?
It doesn't look like him.
No?
Yeah, there are many Beramjis.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
I don't think he's the brother Beramji.
Okay, that's Rustam next to him.
Rustam, uh-huh. We know this.
Yeah. Ghani.
Big-headed Dr. Ghani, right?
Right.
Baba said he had a big head.
Yeah. And Gustachi.
Look at him. Bald as a cue ball here.
Right.
Yeah. And then the front row, is this Adi K. Irani?
It doesn't look like it. Does not look like Adi.
Okay, he's identified as Adi K. Irani.
Doesn't look like him. Do you?
No. The one next to him, that is Adi K. Irani.
This is Adi K.
Yes, right.
And is he Baba's brother?
Yes.
Yeah, Baba.
No, he's Adi K.
Oh, yeah.
From the trust.
Yeah. This is Baba's, is a relative, but not
they
brother.
are related.
Oh, okay. And then here's the author.
Ramjoo. So they
He must be Raghunath.
Someone called Raghunath.
So that man on the left is not identified. He looks Western too. I wonder.
Not to me.
Oh well, yeah, maybe not.
I mean, he's in Eastern clothes, but and this is way back too, in 1922, 101 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Adi K was definitely part of those at that time, early days.
Uh-huh. Part one, Manzilamim, January 1922 to April 23.
Boy, that was fun to see Farish Day. Did you hear?
Bunch of blank pages. We are recording, by the way. So
that's true. Okay.
Thank you. Chapter 1, The Pune Hut. Dated January 23, 1922. The beginning of the end.
I got this book, sorry.
Since the last Oh, please, we're recording now. So let's mute
Stick with
everybody. Now I'll ask you to unmute when you read. Since the last few months, I had some faint impression that Merwan Seth, Mir Baba, is taken to be a divine personality to some extent in our circle of friends. As such, I had made some offhand attempts to solicit his blessings in my external affairs, but could not succeed so far in having a direct talk with him. Although somehow I used to come across him in almost every visit of his amongst my friends Doctor and Usman in Bombay, without being informed or invited. Last evening was the first time that my friend Usman directly invited me to accompany him to Bombay to join in the party to Mandua, where they were going with Merwan Seth for a pleasure trip. It was with great persuasions that I agreed and came to Bombay with Usman this afternoon. As soon as the train steamed into Victoria Terminus, we took a horse-drawn cab and drove straight to the docks. It seems we were just in time. As soon as we boarded the steam launch, it weighed anchor. We joined the party on the deck, including Merwan Seth, Munshi, Dalvi, Latif, Gustaji, Bailey, Doctor, Abdullah, and singers. The party was seated in a group around baskets of sweets and other eatables. There was every air of a pleasure party in the atmosphere, yet I could not help being deeply impressed with something supernatural about Merwan Seth's personality and movements. Very soon, wheat bread and graham powder cakes were distributed to all, and a great justice done thereto, amidst the pleasant surroundings of a calm sea and bright sunshine. The first explanation. After finishing with the meals, we all were just chit-chatting and cracking jokes when suddenly Merwan Seth started quite a new talk subject, pointing to the panoramic view of Bombay with all its beautiful buildings, domes, towers, and mill chimneys. He began to muse about the grandeur and greatness of Bombay. Almost all concurred with him that Bombay was really great. Then he suddenly asked all whether that which was seen was great, that is Bombay, or the seer. A very lively discussion followed upon this, during which Merwan Seth kept on adding silently some very suggestive points, creating a divine atmosphere. It was as if a new life was begun with wonderful ideas and thoughts flashing across in the mind. After an hour or so, the steam launch stopped at a distance from the shore, which we reached through small boats. From the shore, the party started walking towards a bungalow where which Mr. Dalby had arranged for our stay. A few miles of brisk walk brought us to the small bungalow where most of us made ourselves comfortable. While some went out on the shore for strolling, etc., I thought it a good opportunity of offering my usual evening prayers unobserved. So I quietly retired to a corner behind some rocks and finished my prayers, quite unobserved, by anybody, especially of the party. Betty, could you unmute? Continue.
I think I have to leave briefly at 8 o'clock, so somebody else should read, and then I have to make a phone call right at my which is your 11 o'clock.
Well, you
So
can read for 10 minutes.
I can, yeah, I can do
Yeah.
that.
Go ahead.
When I returned to the bunks, coincidence? When I returned to the bungalow, the party seemed to be waiting for those of us who were out. Merwan Seth seemed in an irritable mood, and I heard him uttering these words: "Fancy keeping us waiting here. Some go for strolling, and some for praying." It may be a coincidence or a chance utterance about this hint of my having gone to prayers, but taking it all with the general impression formed with a few hours' close company and his magnetic personality, his babaship got a close and firm hold over me. After supper, the singer began to play his sitar, over which he proved his good command. On the whole, the singing program, too, proved to be very entertaining, so much so that Abdullah began to weep and dance to the music, while Latif kept on asking Mayor Baba to get some snakes to come from the surrounding jungle to dance against the music. Wow, that's wild. Okay. Without any further event, we retired for the night, and thus it was for the first time that today I met with Meher Baba as Meher Baba. January 26, 1922, The Circle. The last 2 days and nights can well be termed the most pleasant and interesting of our life so far. The explanations and discussions by Baba on religions and spiritual points were simply engrossing. The indirect hints of Baba that he has a circle of certain numbers of persons with whom he has connection since the day of beginning, and that this certain number of persons will in the near future get real knowledge and experience of truth, has set most of us guessing as to the identity of this lucky number. Here was an ideal life painted before our imaginations, which under ordinary circumstances we dare not think upon, being almost beyond the grasp of ordinary human beings of the world at large. Okay, I cede to somebody else now. Let's see.
Thanks, Betty. Go ahead, Mayor. Unmute, please, and continue.
Baba also said that it was 1 out of 10 millions that reaches this perfection after unimaginable hardships and privations. But the perfect one can, in the twinkling of an eye, turn the worldly minds towards divinity, and the Master does it at the right moment for those with whom he has a connection. As an example, he said, supposing a man suddenly comes into great wealth, however kind and generous he may be, he will not make every beggar he comes across a partner in his happiness, but rather the few with whom he has had some intimate tie of friendship or relationship. For instance, this rich man, while passing a street in his costly car, sees a person in a very pitiable condition, begging for food and clothes. He will just feel some pity and pass on, or at the most throw some coins at him. But if this same man comes across a less needy man, who also happens to be his brother, lost to him years ago, then what will happen? In spite of his important and urgent engagements, and without his second beggar having looked at or asked of him anything, he will certainly stop his car, and whether the beggar wants it or not, bundle him in and take him home and bring him to his own level of happiness. Similarly, Baba said, in spiritual affairs too, One must have a connection with the master to receive the higher state of existence. It was this connection with Baba Jan that gave me the experience in a second, without any striving or longing for it. And it is a connection again that will make me share this infinite treasure among 12 of my circle in the near future. Another coincidence, in the evening, when all of us were seated round Baba at Charni Road, he asked us one by one as to our respective external affairs, if there was any trouble or obstacle in our way. This was just the moment I had been waiting for since the last few months of placing my external difficulties before Baba. But the recent spiritual talks had created a desire of remaining as much with Baba as possible, and hence I thought it would be better if Baba did not ask me about my affairs just then. Strange enough, mine came the last turn, and Baba did not ask me anything. Upon this, Usman broached my subject, but Baba said, I will see about him tomorrow since he is coming with us to Pune. And thus I could see that Baba acted just as I was thinking in my mind at the time. January 27, 1922, the circle's shadow. It is said that after some time Baba will come and stay in Bombay with the Mandali, close disciples. In the meanwhile, he will pass some time in a hut in Pune. Accordingly, Baba, Dr. Gustaji and Bailey started from Bombay by 3:15 afternoon passenger train for Pune, while I joined them on my way to Lonavala. Again, in the train, Baba opened the subject of the circle. Although he said 12 were all the important members of the circle, yet the circle has really 14 members, while there were 14 more as shadows of the original 14. Thus, in all, there were 28 in the circle. The originals, he said, will become just like the Master himself, and so will get one with God, while the shadows will only see God. Yet, even seeing God was not a trifling matter. Out of thousands of yogis and advanced souls who strive for truth on their own initiative without the guidance of a realized master, a very, very few reach the stage of seeing God. While to become one with the oneness, it is impossible without the grace of the Guru.
Thanks, Mayor. Surya Chandra, do you want to read today?
Chauta, yeah.
The Pune hut trapped. After some more such explanations, Baba asked me if I wanted to follow him and added that in that case I will have to just what he says irrespective of any mental or physical considerations, and so I should answer him very carefully. Whatever agitation I felt at the beginning bound over body and soul by a secret promise. The recent atmosphere proved too tempting and I agreed to obey Baba in all affairs. The first order. Baba asked me to inform him for all my affairs and situations. Upon learning of my public activities in connection with the Kaila Fat and Swaraj movements, Baba asked me not to take any more share in these movements and to resign from the posts I had been holding in the Kaila Pash committee immediately, saying this was is a first order, and that after that he will give me further instructions for the future adjustments of my affairs. About 8:15, the train reached Lonavala, where I got down while the rest of the party proceeded to Pune. February 15th, February 18th, 1922, the hut. Since coming to Pune on 27th January, Baba has got a hut set up in scheduled form near Chatan, Chatar Singhji's along the Ferguson's College Road and is putting up there. A large number of people have already begun to come every day to receive Baba's blessing. Especially on Sundays, the quiet locality of the hut buzzes with life and merriment when most of the Bombay party, including Gustanji, Dr. Said Sahib, Latif, and myself, come from Bombay, while the Kasab party under Patel with Arjun, Kundiram, Syed Sahib, Jamadar, Chaudhary, Pitar also assembled there, presenting a screen like a small gathering at the tomb of a saint. The hut itself being just 6 or 7 feet in length, of that size in breadth and made of grass and bamboo like a small tent, is only used by Baba himself for the night. In the daytime, generally all gather round Baba under the shade of a tree near the hut. The time is mostly passed in singing devotional songs and love poems and occasional games of Gilli Danda or Attapat, Attapatya and and
So he wants to stop there. Should I continue?
Oh, let's move on then. Thank you very much, Surya Chandra. We'll move on to Mahu. Mahu, could you unmute, please? Continue. I'll just go back to the previous sentence. Yeah.
I'm sorry, where is it at? The time.
Yeah.
Thank you, because
You're
I'm
welcome.
following my text. Okay. The time is mostly passed in singing devotional songs and love poems, an occasional game of Gilli Danda or Acha Pacha, and sometimes explanation about divine subjects. In the night, only Bailey remains by Baba. Baba's birthday. Today being Baba's birthday, suitable celebrations have been arranged at Kaspa in Patel's house over the Toddy house, while Baba has also come from the hut to stay the night there. After supper, the sitar master from Bombay once again gave us a treat of his beautiful sitar playing and suitable singing. The entertainment lasted for a considerable time. It ended after all repeated Shri Maharji's Arti, song of dedication, to the accompaniment of the sitar. February 25th, 1922. The title is Disobedience Punished. While some of us were sitting about Baba near the hut, at about 10 in the morning, Doctor was marked to have come from Bombay. He left the carriage on the road and came walking through the adjoining fields with a heavy-looking basket of fruits and sweets on his shoulder and a broad smile on his face. Quite unexpectedly, Baba seemed to be very upset, and he took Doctor right and left for coming to Pune without permission. So much so that the basket doctor has brought from Bombay was thrown down the well nearby with all its fine contents. After some time, the atmosphere got cooled down when doctor related that as per the present custom, he first went to Babajan at Charbaudi before coming here to the hut. There, Babajan gave him a sound hammering of all his face and hid by keeping hold of his throat with one hand and at the same time telling him to go away. Now, as soon as he escapes from Babajan, thinking of getting a nice welcome from Meher Baba, here too he got the treat of his life. But this impressed us very much as something in common between Meher Baba and Babajan, and the necessity of following Baba's orders to the letter. Now, March 11, 1922. The heading is The Strange Cremation. Today, Holi was observed at the hut. This is ceremony Holi. In the evening, Baba brought big pieces of firewood himself in a small bulldog cart. A fire was duly lighted in the night and devotional songs were sung when the Kasbah party was present in full strength. Sitar and drums were also burned in the fire and a grave made thereof.
Thanks, Bahu. I'll take another turn. March 25, 1922. A cycle is drowned. Since some time, Latif's new cycle had been, under Baba's instructions, offered in raffle. The numbers having been almost taken up, the drawing is to be held today. Baba and the whole Mandali have come to Chinchwad for a pleasure party, as well as to go through the drawing of the cycle lottery. In the evening, the drawing is finished up and Kodu gets the cycle. In return for this new cycle, Kodu's old cycle is taken away from him. Under Baba's instructions, it is broken into pieces with big stones and then thrown into a well nearby by the Mandali. Some time after the cycle drowning, Baba asked Kodu if he felt for his cycle and it's going down into the well. He said, not at all, but added, he is willing to follow the cycle into the well if ordered by Baba. Afterwards, we came to know from Bailey that just at the time the cycle was smashed and thrown in the well at Chinchwad, he very narrowly missed being himself drowned in a well near the hut. This coincidence sheds some understanding over the strange incident of throwing away the cycle in a well. 1st of April, 1922, nightmare. To enable me to stay with him in Bombay, Baba has asked me to dispose of my shop at Lonavla and be quite free. Once, while going to the hut from Kasbah Peth, Baba told me not to be anxious about any matters. Besides the spiritual future, he said, he will also see that my external affairs do not suffer. Although, he added in a very impressive and ringing tone, this external side of affairs is merely imagination. explanation, and not even a dream, but a dream into a dream. Well, at present, this dream is becoming almost a nightmare. In spite of my best efforts, I can find no buyer for the shop. Hence, the latest order for me since the last few days is to say, quote, my shop is not yet sold to anybody and everybody I meet in the street with whom I have to talk. Well, this means I have got to repeat the blessed sentence if I go to a funeral, marriage, mosque, or bazaar. It is the most awkward situation of my life. My sudden resignations from public life, the talk of disposing of the present business, and this recent order all have made me feel the greatest fool that ever graced this lovely La Novla. It is only for a very important matter that I ever go out of the house nowadays, for the fear of having to repeat the dreadful words. My shop is not yet sold. How I wish I never had a shop. Well, to end the matter soon, I suggested to Baba, perhaps I could dispose of the thing through lottery. Baba readily allowed me to do so and canceled the order of repeating those terrible words. Little did I know at the time that this relief was nothing short of falling into the fire from the frying pan. Betty, could you unmute and continue this marvelous story?
April 7th.
I like how you do it theatrical.
April 7th, 1922. From the frying pan into the fire. The shop lottery business has proved more awkward than the mere repeating of those words. In the former case, I could somehow save my face, as once when I was obliged to go to a relation's funeral, the chief mourner, unfortunately, was the first I came across. Now that phrase, my shop is not yet sold, was grating in my ears, and the funeral was waiting before my eyes, and the chief mourner was staring at me, expecting some excuse for not coming earlier. With one deep breath, I came by him and said, my shop is not yet sold. And the consequent engagement forced me to be late. And so I was sorry, etc., and thus escaped from a tight corner. But this lottery business is simply dreadful. There is no escape in soliciting favors from friends and relatives whom I have not seen for years. As Baba insisted that I should finish the matter soon and at least get half the numbers filled in myself. April 20th, 1922, Gustaji. Munshi, Dr. Latif, myself, and Gustaji went to Shivapur today for the gathering at Kamarli Darvish's tomb. After taking the usual baths in the natural springs, excuse me, in which Gustaji also participated, we went for the Friday prayers. After the prayers, we had our meals, while Gustaji had only a glass of cooled milk. He being a vegetarian, and the food brought chiefly meat. Nowadays, Baba pays much attention to Gustaji. Every one of the mandali is impressed upon to pay due respect to Gustaji through various means. For example, some time back, Baba got Gustaji's photo fixed in the center of his hut with garlands around it, saying that if Gustaji is garlanded, it amounts to himself being garlanded. While talking about the circle in a metaphor, Baba said, I am the driver, Gustaji is the engineer. Sashadib is the couplings between engine and the carriages. Baramji is the guard, and Bailey is the rail, while the rest of the members are different carriages of different classes according to respective connections with me. Wow. May 1st, 1922, ready. It is being arranged for Baba and Mandali to go to Sakori for Upasni Maharaj's birthday next week, and after that, to go to Bombay on foot. Most of the Mandali are ready. My shop has also been disposed of, the main subscribers being the Mandali. Babu Cyclewala has also fired off his cycle shop and is ready for the march. May 6, 1922, the first to retreat. It was understood of late that Usman seems to be on the verge of a revolt against Baba, somehow his faith having got a shake. Baba wrote a letter to Usman to come to Pune and see him, and also offered him any supernatural phenomenon by way of a test for his satisfaction. But the following reply is received today and already marks the falling of the first leaf. Bombay, 5th May 22. Dear Merwan Seth, yours to hand. You called me there, but sorry I can't come. Nothing more to pen except my best salams to you and all. Yours sincerely, signed S.M. Usman. P.S. As per your words regarding your test, I should like to add that I neither want to test you nor anyone from the company should test me. Signed SMU. Wow. May 9th, 1922, a sudden illness. Baba and party are to start to Sikori this evening by the 4:30 train via Dond. Since this afternoon, all have begun to gather at Sashadev's place in Kasbapeth. While Baba is singing to us and playing the drum, I suddenly feel feverish. After some time, the fever is beginning to rise at a rapid pace, and I feel streaks of chill flash across my body. Marking me in a trembling and dazed condition, Baba called me near him and inquired the reason of my so doing. I said, I can't make it out. Just a few minutes ago, I was quite healthy, and now I suddenly find chill and fever. Doctor felt my pulse and said I had fever. Thereupon, Baba made me lie down in a corner of the room, well wrapped up in a blanket until further orders.
Thanks, Betty.
Okay.
Mayor Kiran, could you unmute it? Can you please?
The strange delirium. After some time, the chill and cold ceased, but I began to feel very hot. Probably the fever was increasing, and so the subsequent experience I passed through was a delirium state. However, since it was peculiarly strange, I would like to narrate it in detail. Now the heat kept increasing, so much so that I began to get alarmed, and my head also got in a dazed condition. After some time, I did not feel anything about the fever, but I began to find breathing a difficult thing. By and by, I felt I was being suffocated. I felt at times like throwing up the blanket to ease my breathing, but the thought of Baba's order again checked me. Now I was so alarmed that I was almost out of my senses. But for Baba's singing, which I could clearly hear, every syllable of it, the poem being, of what consequence is fana, annihilation of lower self, or bakha, abiding in God, to a man who is confirmed lover of the Master. At this choice, he goes to the upper house, God consciousness, or comes down to the lower house, man consciousness. I suppose death. I suddenly got the idea I was dying. Unless I threw away the blanket, I felt I would die. But to do so would be breaking his order. Conflicting emotions began to search around in my mind. The picture of my wife and relatives on one side and Baba and his singing on the other side put me in a dilemma. At last, I decided to remain as I was, wrapped up in the blanket, resigned to my fate. I began to feel my toes becoming lifeless, and so gradually the lifelessness began to creep up. Tears began to flow freely from my eyes when I felt the part of my body below the waist lifeless. This lifelessness kept on creeping up. Now my alarm knew no bounds. I simply felt lifeless, save for my eyes, which too, with a jerk and a shock, and I was dead. Queer illusions. Dead and alive both at a time. This was the peculiar feelings I felt. I could hear preparations on foot for my funeral and telegrams sent to my relatives about my death. This rather pained me, but on the whole now I did not feel any physical pain or discomfort. The blanket was taken away and I was made to sit, but I could not help feeling two existences. One, the dead body for which funeral preparations were going on a grand scale, and the other, being lovingly treated and patted by Baba. I was given a drink and then asked by Baba to take a seat in a carriage with Bailey. While descending the stairs of Patel's house, I felt I was following my own coffin. When we came to the station, Baba asked me to get down from the carriage, and while I was doing so, he went in the station with some of the mandali. Not finding him near me, I refused to budge an inch from where I stood, in spite of Bailey, Asar, and some others' entreaties to me to at least come out of the way of the surrounding carriages if I did not wish to enter the platforms. I just stood where I was sandwiched between so many carriages and Victorias. Thinking myself dead at first, I did not feel afraid of the carriages, but when I found myself dangerously near their wheels, I had a queer feeling that I would be crushed and again get alive. So I began to call repeatedly Meher Baba at the top of my voice to avoid the shock of becoming alive. At last, to my great relief, Baba came back to where I was standing and led me on the platform where I carefully sat very near him. Here I felt that thousands of persons had come to pay respects to my corpse and the platform was overcrowded. Even a military guard of honor was drawn prominently for the last honor. And at the same time, I felt amongst the Mandali going to Sakori when the Raichur passenger steamed into Pune platform. We all got in. Baba asked me to lie down quietly on a bench and added, "Stop your mental films." I was gradually beginning to feel alright in every sense, seeing, hearing, and thinking. But for the fact that I was dead and to become alive again, I would have to undergo the same shock and alarm I felt while dying this afternoon. To avoid this shock and alarm, I thought it would be better if I remained dead as I was. When the train reached Dawn, I began to feel more sense, and for the first time, I felt doubt about my death. Finding Kak alone, I approached him and asked him very pleadingly if he would oblige me. Thinking me to have come to my senses, he said, "Yes, go on. What do you want?" "Then, will you tell me truly whether I am dead or alive?" I asked. Kak simply laughed and advised me to sleep. Almost all were laughing and cracking jokes about my strange behavior and the more I was getting nonplussed. May
Thanks,
10th.
Mayor. Thanks, Mayor. Surya Chandra, your turn.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, is
Sakori,
Hawk a
after that,
person? Is Hawk, do you guys know? I mean, we can read the explanation, but there's a Hawk is a person?
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't understand
No,
your
I'm
question,
asking if
Reed.
Hawk is a person.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if it's like
Mm.
short for Kaka or
Mhm.
must be a person. Yeah.
Mm.
So go ahead, Surya Chandra from the May 10.
Sakori.
Sona?
Mm.
Sakori, after having a good sleep in the train, I woke up quite my old self again. There was no longer any dual existence feeling. I simply felt my experience extended to a mere hallucination, although this much is true that I had a strong attack of fever and consequently felt weak and thirsty. Baba made me sit in a carriage with a with a cock and a Masaji and a family, while the rest of the mandali started walking from Chaitali station to Sakori. About 11 o'clock, all reached Sakori for the first time. Sri Upashani Maharaj. After some time, all of us went for Maharaj's blessings. We found him just outside his hut, standing with a piece of gunny cloth held about his person. Although I had some idea of his personality from the photos had seen, I was not prepared for so much magnetism and attraction about him. From the flowers presented by the Mandali, Maharaj picked up some champa tree flowers and distributed one to each of us and said, may you realize good soon. May you realize good soon. May 14, 1992. Maharaj birthday. The last 4 days were very engaging parts, particularly the day on which Maharaj birthday was observed. Devotional songs. Worship proceeding by
Yes.
Nail and read with the poor were the order of the day. During these days, Sri Maharaj granted lengthy interviews, especially to the Mandali. When he also explained to the Mandali in a fascinating and loving tone divine subjects. A mandate from Maharaj. Once while explaining to us the divine subject, Maharaj came upon Meher Baba's name and then most solemnly addressing us said, you listen to me most carefully what I say. I have given the key of whatever I have to Mervan. And now you people stick to him and do as he instructed you. By God's grace, we will soon reach the goal. The Mandali left Sakori for Pune at about 9:30 a.m., while Baba remained here to follow us later on. May 19, 1922. Baba returned from Sakori. Baba came back from Sakori this evening. Arrangements were for engaging a bungalow in Andheri for the Mandali and Baba's stay in Bombay is already in progress. In couple of days, we are started for Bombay on foot.
Thank you, Surya Chandra. Mahu, could you unmute and continue?
Okay. So next chapter title is Pune to Bombay on foot. This is after security. Date is May 21, 1922.
Can I just
Goodbye to the heart.
interject? Can I interject that Pune to Bombay, is that 100 miles, 200 miles?
Yeah, I think
It's 2 hours
maybe I
drive.
might know, but we
Driving.
read this in Lord
Well,
Meher, by the way. I'm sorry. Should I read?
Yes, please.
Okay. So May 21st, 1922, goodbye to the hut. Baba and Mandali came to the hut tonight at about 10:30 p.m. by way of a last visit to the site where Meher Baba came out in public as such for the first time since his enlightenment through Babaji. It can again be said to be the cradle of the Mandali's formation too. Hence, it was meet that before starting from Pune, we should come to the place where so many happy and instructive hours of our lives were passed. After after taking away Gustaji's photo, he came back to Caswapet and began preparing for the march. The beddings and other necessities were, however, packed in a small bullock cart, especially procured for the purpose. Next is iron discipline. Dr. Adi and Slamson quietly slipped away to a hotel nearby and refreshed themselves with bread, cream, and tea. Somehow Baba got wind of their selfish treat, and they were taken right and left. Although there was no definite contravention of his orders, Baba seemed to be greatly upset. At first, he asked Dr. Adi and Slamson to cut out, and when they were on the point of backing out with some hesitation, Baba called them back and allowed them to remain in the mandali. After forbidding Adi and Slamson to have any connection, he advised all to be very careful in all matters while with him. This demonstration has created quite a new atmosphere of responsibility and seriousness amongst the Mandali. Next page, page 47.
I looked up the distance. It's 101 miles.
Oh, thanks, Betty.
That's better. 101. Still going by the foot. Chinchawat. In the early hours at about 2 a.m., we all started and first went to Chinchawat, where, excepting Baba and Bailey, who kept at a distance, the rest of us went to Babajan and paid our respects. From here, we started direct towards the Bombay Pune road. Being the first day and in the early hours of darkness, we could make but a very slow progress, and hence, after 4 hours' walk, we reached Chinchawat. Here, Marjun had arranged for our halt in the big stone bungalow just opposite to the Chinchawad railway station. Not having slept overnight, many were marked to be unsteady while walking. Beramji, who walked beside me, would actually take a nap
Wow.
while walking, as it was often that he would lurch against me with half-closed eyes and bump the sitar he carried in his hands against my, my head. Sorry, I have to laugh. Good strong tea was prepared and was distributed with some started with some I'm sorry. Can you enlarge this text a little bit, or I should go back to my, I have a difficulty with this. That's better, thank you. Okay, where are we? Thank you. Okay. Good strong tea was prepared and was distributed with some biscuits to the mandali. After some rest and refreshment, we started again on our tramp. Patel and a couple of others were sent to Taliban by train, being badly shaken up already. This latter part of the day's tramp proved very trying owing to a great heat and the blazing sunshine.
Thank you, Mahu. We'll go to here and pick up next time. Thank you.